Pittsburgh Steelers will be looking to come back off their bye from a couple weeks ago after playing in Ireland versus the Vikings, and they will be at home tomorrow at noon hosting the Cleveland Browns, who are banged up, by the way. A lot of people are having right now the Pittsburgh Steelers as 5.5 point underdogs going into this game right now, and are a full game lead over the Cincinnati Bengals right now, while the Ravens are struggling mightily at 1-4, just like the Cleveland Browns. Good evening, everybody. This is Charles Prodigy Richey here. Welcome to Show Blitz here of the Man of Steel podcast. We get ready to preview the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns. And by the way, too, as you can see on my Facebook story and Instagram, I shared earlier in the week, rivalry that goes back 75 years ago already. Of course, remember they had the disruption from 1996 from 1998 when the Cleveland Browns had to uh, become a disabled franchise for about 3 seasons when their player personnel and ownership moved over to Baltimore. Supreme Court ruling thankfully allowed the city of Cleveland to keep the Browns name registered in Cleveland. But as we all remember right now, for anyone who's been growing up uh, into this world, um, as for me, I'm 42 years old, and one of my favorite rivalries is the Steelers versus Baltimore Ravens. But if you look back and you look at this team's history right here, before we got to like the Baltimore Ravens, there was the Oakland Raiders rivalry that started up in the 70s once they merged with the NFL, starting with the Immaculate Reception. But then even before that, too, you had right there, I mean, the versus the Cleveland Browns back in 1950. The Cleveland Browns came from the All American Football Conference where they dominated their conference, winning the championship every year. So they won 5 straight championships, 4 from the All American Football Conference, plus another 4 in the NFL right there. And a team like the Cleveland Browns, who came in since then, has not been beneficial of the merger since then. I mean, it's been well documented when we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers being one of the all-time winnings franchise. What's one of the things they always point to right there is like how they've dominated since the merger has begun. They have the most career wins, 563 wins with 361 losses and 4 ties, culminating with 34 playoff appearances, going 6-2 in the Super Bowl games. While the Cleveland Browns, who, like I said, they had 8 championships prior to that, they're dead last in 341 career wins for the teams who switched over from the then NFL franchise and moved over to the uh, AFL, which became the AFC in 1970, which was already negotiated back in 1966. Anyway, like I said, I mean, this was like a truly a hard-hitting rivalry back in the day. You see the history right there. Even almost 50 years ago, significantly when the Steelers started off, I believe it was 1-4 right there. A team who looked gloom and doom for not possibly making the playoffs. Instead, that team was hell bent and made a mission to like not only make the playoffs, but they're going to try and three-peat. They did come up a little bit short that year, falling to the Oakland Raiders in their third straight matchup in the AFC Championship game, with guys like Franco Harris, Rocky Blair getting hurt. But still, the Steelers were 1-4 at that point in time and managed to reel off 9 straight victories, plus another playoff victory. So literally 10 in a row were a dominating defense that year, where they had 5 shutouts that year. But anyway, I mean, you look back to this rivalry right here. I mean, versus the Browns right here. I mean, Pittsburgh Steelers just really just done a good job right there taking it. The Cleveland Browns held the lead over the Steelers up until Mike Tomlin's debut as head coach of the Steelers was the first time they took the overall head-to-head lead regular season, including playoffs right there. It was his very first game as head coach back on September 9th. They defeated the Cleveland Browns 34-7, uh, right there, and that's when the Steelers took the lead in this series. But anyway, I mean, look at both of these proud franchises right here. Uh, Steelers, they got 32 players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, while the Cleveland Browns, the Dog Pound, has 23 players altogether. Despite the Steelers having six Super Bowls, Browns still, at the end of the day, had more league championships with eight in their franchise history. Steelers do lead the all-time rivalry by um, 17 games right now, 80, 63, and 1, including going 2-1 in the playoffs last time. Of course, they met in the playoffs. It would prove to be Marquise Pouncey's infamous game right there, where he would retire immediately after that game. But here we go right now. I mean, it's gonna be a fun week right now. I mean, just to see this kicked off. I mean, Steelers definitely got a lot of business at hand right now. Trying to capture the AFC North for the first time in 5 years. I mean, look at what these teams have been through. I mean, you look at the history of the coaches right there. I mean, you talk about Hall of Fame coaches right there. I mean, the late Chuck Noll and Paul Brown right there. I mean, he just did a lot for both teams right there. I mean, Paul Brown right there. I mean, he's definitely probably one of the guys, arguably, where Bill Belichick would cite would help would make popular the West Coast offense that Bill Walsh took to the next level when he went to his coaching career as a 49ers head coach, which also passed away, by the way, in 2007. And let's go ahead and get into some fun history right here. I'm gonna go right now. When you look at like the all-time head-to-head matchups real quick, I'm gonna go into my top five games of all time right now. Number one, let's start off back in 1989. I'm gonna just be fair, objectively, both Pittsburgh and Cleveland. You gotta look at it both ways. You gotta give Cleveland their due for what they did. As much as the Steelers have made this laugher since returning to Cleveland back in 1999. 1989, week one right there. The, the Cleveland Browns shut out the Steelers 51-0 in the season opener. The Steelers will also go ahead and lose a week later to the Cincinnati Bengals 41-10. So already 92 points in the first two games of the season. They would finish out the season and make the final wild card as the fifth seed. Now remember, the very next year is when they add a sixth seed to the playoff format. And not only that, though, too, they also added a bye week, which, by the way, coming into this, you heard Missy Matthews on X under Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 14-4, 23-12 all time since the bye has been officially part of the weekly schedule beginning in 1990. 35 years in the making right there. That's some good stuff right there if you want to pay attention to. But like I said, game number one belongs to the Cleveland Browns. That 51 nothing shutout right there. Uh, I want to say that was like the largest in franchise history. As I get a chance to just confirm it real quick on Pro Football Reference right here and looking at it. Apparently, that was the second. No, that was. Excuse me. The Steelers scored the most points back in 1954, 55-27, but still, just the most convincing victory belongs to the Browns right there. So that's game number one. Game number two, we've seen this on YouTube quite a few times. Real quick, back in 1979 when they went on to win their fourth and final Super Bowl to close out their dynasty of the decade. In that game right there, you would see Terry Bradshaw pass for his single game career high, and where the Steelers trailed by two touchdowns twice, each in the second and third quarter, scored by 10 points and also trailed 10 points in the fourth quarter. So they trailed by two touchdowns in the second and third quarter, and then 10 points in the fourth quarter. Bradshaw would go ahead and finish out the game, passing for 364 yards. This game would go into overtime. Also, too, Steelers would sack Brian Sipe 7 times, four and a half of those coming from LC Greenwood right now, which is a head scratcher why he is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but of course we all know how that works out. Probably voter fatigue right there, part of the politicking. Why he is not in there. Game number three, 1994. The Steelers complete the trifecta right there, sweeping the Browns in the regular season and the playoffs. This was also in the middle of a 7 game win streak that will culminate through their return game in 1999. So the end of the 1993 season, where the Steelers won and got help to make the playoffs, uh, where it started in that finale, it would end until the Cleveland Browns returned back to Cleveland back in 99 in the 43 to nothing shutout at home. The Pittsburgh Steelers will win that game, but of course, their season would be their second straight of 3 straight years of not making the playoffs. Right there, they would finish out that season 6-10. But anyway, game number, like I said, game number three was the 1994 season, just sweeping them in the regular season, 2 times in the regular season, and then three in the playoffs. Right there, uh, in the playoffs, as you saw right there, they thrashed them at Three Rivers Stadium in that contest. Uh, for the most part, where they would go on to face the San Diego Chargers, but they came up short. But in that game, like I said, back on January 7th, 1995, they won that game by 20 points in that game. And remember, that season also, too, before that matchup, uh, Bill Belichick, prior to Kevin Stefanski, was the last coach of the Browns that got him to a playoff win. Uh, Made the playoffs in 1 out of 5 seasons. A lot of people tend to believe that Belichick, he had an opportunity to start where he had finished. He could have done something similar to what he did with the New England Patriots with Tom Brady, which could have been theirs, where they could have probably had a Super Bowl or two, but instead, most of, he gets fired, and then pretty much the entire organization, players, personnel moves over to Baltimore. Most of the players that were moved over from Cleveland to Baltimore were not on that team. There's only like a few players. I want to say like about 5 players maybe that won a Super Bowl from Cleveland. Let's go into game number three in the top five countdown for my top five Steelers versus Browns games. 2007, week number 10. Steelers had a game lead going into that game versus Browns. We're each trying to, who the Browns were trying to earn a split. This was battle for top position in the first in the AFC North. Largest lead was 15 by the Browns, which the Steelers overcame behind Fast Willie Parker, who ran for 105 yards off of 25 carries for 4.2 yards per attempt. Big Ben with also add on right there, throwing 2 touchdown passes to Heath Miller and the game winner to Hines Ward. And last but not least, like I said, you heard me mention it earlier at the beginning of the show right here, the Super Wild Card Round weekend, which wrapped up with the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Cleveland Browns at Heinz Field, which would become Acrisure Stadium over a year later at the conclusion of the 2021 season. Remember, there was no fans in the stadium except for a few family members from each team in attendance right there. I don't honestly, no respect. I could care less about fan attendance, man attendance, whatever. It does not matter. I mean, yeah, I mean, it would help to have like a little bit of fan energy pump up, the stadium, the team right there. But at the end of the day, too, the Cleveland Browns were riding high right there. Uh, Baker Mayfield, I felt, was playing out of his mind during down that stretch. I mean, playing like an MVP caliber type quarterback right there. I mean, he wasn't the league MVP that season, but at the end of the day, too, I mean, the Cleveland Browns right there, they were a team right there. I mean, like just to get a win over the Steelers, their first playoff win in about 26 years at that point. I mean, just do that and pull up a phenomenal effort versus Kansas City Chiefs, who were the defending Super Bowl champions, who would go on to lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl that year. But still, I mean, they had a hot hand riding right there, and a lot of it has to do with guys like Miles Garrett, Baker Mayfield, and of course Kevin Stefanski right there. I mean, Kevin Stefanski, despite the cold civil war that's going on right now, I mean, if you want to read between the lines right now, I mean, like, what's going to happen with Stuart Sanders? Is he going to be officially or not the number two quarterback behind Dylan Gabriel, who just debuted last week versus Minnesota Vikings, who did not win. I mean, they came up just shy right there. I mean, definitely feel like they were playing not to lose, but he did not do a bad job. I mean, in that game, quarterbacking versus the Minnesota Vikings right there. I mean, still at the end of the day, I mean, the Cleveland Browns going into that game. Let's pull it up real quick right here. Let's go off my phone real quick, take a look at that game. Back in London right there, as we looked at it. Let's see. Hold on one second here, guys. Well, just a week ago, I mean, just a lot right there. And just were able to come up just shy versus the Vikings in that contest right there. Yeah, and like I said, that was a play right there. It would drop to 1-4 in that game. But anyway, the Browns, for that matter, under Dylan Gabriel, who I don't think did all that bad. I mean, definitely in this contest with Cleveland Browns versus Minnesota Vikings. I mean, in this contest, they outran the Vikings 140 to 97 yards by the Minnesota Vikings right there. Uh, Quishon Judkins, who had 110 yards, had bulk of the carries right there. He would also add an additional 18 yards of receiving, so finishing up for 128 yards of scrimmage in that contest, only to come up shy 21 to 17, finish that game. And the Minnesota Vikings, they were able to like get a touchdown with 25 seconds left to go, where it was from Carson Wentz to Addison for 12 yards, and they were able to get out right there. So they were able to split in London or internationally that week, back in Ireland, and then in London right there. But still, I mean, in that contest right there for, I mean, the Vikings right there too. I mean, who gave us Steelers definitely a run for their money. But at the end of the day, I mean, for that matchup right there, uh, the Browns are able to get 7 points off of three total turnovers in that game, off of the Vikings, while they didn't concede anything right there. So that was a game that definitely let slip away for Gabriel right there. But anyway, going into this right now, I mean, just definitely a lot to prove right now for this team right now. I mean, definitely Gabriel seems to be the right choice for the Cleveland Browns for Kevin Stefanski, but Shador Sanders seems to be the one for Jimmy Haslam, who has a good relationship with Deion Sanders right now. I mean, you look at Dylan Gabriel, who came out right now being drafted out of the University of Oregon right there, who passed for 155 touchdowns and 32 interceptions, which is off the charts right there. But I really like to wonder, like, how much longer are we going to see him right there? Will this become the Shador Sanders show at some point? Will he even get the opportunity? Will he somehow have this opportunity for right there? I just don't know. I mean, right now, Cleveland Browns, they continue to be a head scratcher, but at the same time, they got a defense that's playing edge championship level. It's just, can you get the quarterback right? And there's some other stuff. They could just tweak it up. They could still steal this division. I don't know. But anyway, speaking of which, too, by the way, one of the biggest surprise of the moves that was made earlier in the week is the Browns right there. I mean, shockingly, I mean they were able to trade Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals right there. I mean, which was insane. And for that, uh, Joe Flacco. I mean, the Browns traded Joe Flacco along with a 6 round pick to the Bengals, and for this coming year's 5th round draft pick. So, according to Kevin Stefanski, he said, "First, I'll tell you the Joe trade took us by surprise on Wednesday. That was not something that we saw coming. They called us. It happened very fast. And then 3 weeks later, right now, as a matter of fact, on Sunday at 3:25 p.m. Central, 4:25 p.m. Eastern, in Green Bay at Lambeau Field, LaFleur finds himself having to prepare for the same quarterback twice this year, 3 weeks later, and he definitely saying it's not something he's used to outside of a division game. Now, remember, they did lose to the Cleveland Browns earlier this year, right here, and to drop to 2-1, I believe it was. But he did say outside of a division game, Matt LaFleur, I don't think I've ever seen the quarterback on a different team, so it will be interesting, according to Matt LaFleur. The Ravens, they trade Dafi Owa and the 2027 7th round pick to the Chargers for safety Alohi Gilman and the 2026 6th round draft pick. So there you have it right now. Uh, like I said again, right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, right now, I mean, a lot we're going to really find out. This game is going to say a lot. But I'm going to tell you right now, we've seen so many starts by this team. It's not always how you start, it's how you finish. But let's just say if the Steelers do manage to get to say, I don't know, like 6-2 in a couple of weeks. They've only missed the playoffs only one time when they've been 6-2. I know they're only 4-1 right now, but they got potential to be 6-2 in about a couple of weeks. I mean, when you look at it, when it's all said and done, I mean, for right now. I mean, of course, you want to bring back up 2018. You heard me mention in the past, real quick here, where they were 7-2-1. I get that. Not the same as 6-2. But at the end of the day, when you look at their schedule right now, I mean, this is definitely you want to like come out of the gates roaring to go right now because then after this game, you're going to be having another trap game going to Cincinnati versus the Bengals, facing Joe Flacco at Paycor Stadium on Prime. So that'd be at 7:15 p.m. And after that, you're going to be 10 days later, that mini bye that Mike Tomlin always loves to preach get his team ready for. They'll be hosting the Green Bay Packers Sunday Night Football, and we'll be seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers wear their throwback uniforms that they wore back in 1994 with the Pittsburgh flag on there. And they'll be going on right there. So they'll be wearing those jerseys again. The only difference with those jerseys going on, just want to just double check on it. As we look at it, the way it's designed this year, they got the Pittsburgh flag in the like between like the collarbone and the bottom of the shoulder area on the left side, versus you'd have like the emblem right about here, and then the number I want to see on the back. But anyway, they'll be debuting those games, those jerseys on Sunday Night Football, from what I understand. But let's go ahead and wrap this thing up right now. Let's go ahead and get in keys to the game. Of course, the biggest one when we look at right here, and before we get in the keys to the game, let's just take a quick look at the injury report right now. Pittsburgh Steelers right now, they have already ruled out Kelvin Austin, who had a shoulder that he injured during the game in Ireland at Croke Park versus the Minnesota Vikings. He is definitely going to be ruled out for this game. So definitely be looking what they need to do right here as far as like their offense. Guys, they will be stepping up right now. I mean, this could be a big question. Will they make another trade for a receiver? Will we see Roman Wilson get a little bit more time in here, or Sky Miller right here? I mean, Roman Wilson, to not see him get enough snaps right now, I don't know if it's just patience, but Mike Tomlin continues to prove himself as a veteran coach. It's a little bit of a head scratcher right now. Let's see. Because I really liked what I saw in the preseason, despite being injured last year and was only to play one game before he got sidelined the rest of the season last year. But anyway, I want to see how much like he can contribute for this team. So, and then you got for the Cleveland Browns right now, only one guy to be concerned with. I doubt he's going to be missing in this game, but it's Miles Garrett, who's dealing with an ankle injury. He was limited on Wednesday, but he was able to be a full participant on Friday. So he was limited on, Wednesday and Thursday. They definitely also ruled out Mike Hall Jr., defense tackle, due to a knee injury. He was limited all week in practice. But let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Like I said, keys to the game right now. Miles Garrett right here. Arguably this guy who's definitely playing at a level, I mean, that could rival like someone like TJ Watt. I mean, look at this guy right here. I mean, he's definitely has a monster legacy, has been able to put respect back on this rivalry. Really think about it too. I mean, a guy who's already has 106 and a half sacks in his career. I mean, arguably be a guy that could finish out maybe in the top 10 or 15 as far as all time sack leaders, but he has four right now for 5 games. With his career high in the season, he had twice back to back years in 2021, 2022 was 16 apiece. That's definitely going to be a guy who's going to be a disruptor, game wrecker, no doubt. Well, I definitely keep that under control, especially at the rate that Aaron Rodgers and this team has been sacked too. By the way, I mean Aaron Rodgers too. You want to continue to make sure he stays out. He stays upward. He's been dropped 9 times for a loss of 64 yards. He has managed to still have 2 game-winning drives, a fourth quarter comeback this year. I mean, still 3-1 at this point. I mean, completing about 69% of his passes right there. Just only thing is too. I mean, with that right now, I mean, he has thrown 3 picks. So, like I said, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, I won't be surprised he gets a little bit more, but we'll see right there. So that's gonna be key number one. Key number two is gonna be like the ground attack once again. I mean, they were had to do without Jalen Warren back a couple weeks ago when they were in Ireland right there. Kenneth Gainwell, who stepped up, who had a nice performance versus Vikings right there, ran for 99 yards off of 19 carries, 5.2 yards per attempt, who really did good. And then you also tacked on 35 yards of receiving off of 6 receptions to finish off the game with 134 yards of scrimmage and 2 touchdowns right there. So, I mean, I really want to just see right now. And then I like to see a little bit more of a Caleb Johnson right there. See if he can get on the mix to join. Uh, why not? I mean, why not have a three-headed monster at some point? I know Caleb Johnson's still a little bit struggling. He's under 3 yards. I mean, and then just not recovering a live ball that went off him versus Seattle. I know a lot of people still has that fresh in their craw. But I really believe you can work these guys in here. So keep the running game on alert right there. And then last for key number three right here too. I'm gonna continue to stick with this key. I've been bringing it up a lot all year right now. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, they are definitely right now as far as like one of the top teams in the league as far as like when they take the ball away, they have been scoring. They've managed to right now this year been able to score 39 points off of 15 total turnovers, including four. I mean, including 4 and outs, and where it has been 5 touchdowns, only 1 field goal right there. Well, that's a good thing right there. Like I said, they continue to do touchdowns versus field goals when creating these points either on their next possession or straight return to the end zone. They have not had a strip fumble return to the end zone for a touchdown. I think they did have one for Jalen Ramsey. I want to say it was Ramsey in the Ireland game versus Vikings, but that got overturned on a penalty right there. But anyway, I mean this defense, I would not be surprised they were able to do a pick six or a strip fumble return to the end zone right there. And that's going to do it for this right here. Like I said, I just want to pay a salute. Steelers, Browns, 75 years in the making, a rivalry that is still lives strong in Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers, too, who has a very success right there versus North opponents right there, which was highlighted. He's definitely very good in that regard. I mean, he's also been 3-0 versus Browns, but still, I mean, he describes like how just playing in places like Minnesota and Chicago, like how like the hatred or the animosity towards each other in the stadiums is like hot right there. So I mean, he definitely compared this to like playing someone like maybe versus the Lions, maybe in terms of like physicality. But still, I think right now we're gonna see a good game right here. Expected to keep it close, unfortunately. But I mean, it is what it is. Once again, you can follow me on X at MountSteelCGR and on Instagram at MountSteelNation. As I leave you, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers, here we go. I go. Thank you for watching the Mount Steel podcast with your host, Charles Prodigy Richey, here on YouTube. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And for all the latest Mount Steel podcast episodes, feel free to download them on Mixcloud, Anchor.fm, and SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts.